So I was saying that we made sparkling wine from with traditional method from the 1979, and this was in the past something really new, because usually the sparkling wine with traditional method that in the most time is called champagne, because it's the same method how is produced the champagne. Actually is made in the north of Italy and in the north of Europe, as I say, in France with the champagne. So these three friends, they broke this imaginary line where producing sparkling wine was related to the north, so related to temperature quite different of the south of Italy. And also they demonstrate that it's possible to make sparkling wine with grapes different from the French people choose, like Chardonnay, Pinot Noir and Pinot Meunier. We use most always more of the 50% of autochthon grapes. So our autochthon grapes that we use are Bombino Bianco, Montepulciano and Nero di Troia. The last one is the Pinot Noir, that with the other three grapes, all of them are grown in the area of San Severo. So all our grapes came from our vineyards. One quality quite important to produce sparkling wine is the acidity. Without acidity, is difficult to make a good sparkling wine, because acidity is equal to longevity, and we are going to see with all the process that we are drinking a sparkling wine, actually, because sparkling wine is wine, that have at least 2 years after the harvest. I say every time that sparkling wine is a wine with double fermentation. Easy. We pick the grapes, we press it, and we obtain the mousse. The mousse is rich of sugar, so we add the yeast, and we have the first fermentation that transforms the mousse in wine. This fermentation, that is called vinification, happened in another cellar outside of the city center of San Severo, because it's not possible to have here in the city center for technical reason. Imagine that we have our tanks with Bombino Bianco, Pinot Noir, Montepulciano with white vinification and red vinification and so over. We started to prepare to have the second fermentation. But before to do this, actually in this week, we are going to taste the different wine. They are called base wine, because they are the base to create the cuvée. What is the cuvée? Cuvée is just blending of different wine. So imagine to pick Bombino Bianco and Pinot Noir, we mix and we have a cuvée. To have a second fermentation, we need two things, yeast and sugar. In this time, we need to add sugar, because there is no sugar in the wine. What happens inside each bottle? Sugar yeast start to fermentate. And this is checked with some bottle like this. We put this clock, kind of clock, that measures the pressure inside. For example, those bottles are around 6 atmosphere. So imagine the pressure that we have inside bottle. And this is a testimonial of the second fermentation in the bottle. What created the fermentation generally? Two things. Again, alcohol that is going to add to the alcohol of the wine, and the carbon dioxide, the bubbles. Because the bottle is closed hermetically, the bubble remain in the bottle, and so we have a sparkling wine. After 50 days, more or less, the second fermentation ends, and you say, okay, we have the sparkling wine.
Sure.
No, unfortunately, no. We need to wait more time. What we need to wait? We need to wait that to create the third flavor. How is created this third flavor? those third flavor are created from the contact between the dyed yeast and the wine. So this is the difference of the sparkling wine with traditional method. In Italy, and actually also outside of Italy, we have another sparkling wine that is quite famous, Prosecco. Everyone know Prosecco? Yeah? Why a bottle of champagne costs at least 25 euro, but is really a cheap champagne, and a bottle of Prosecco the cost could be also less than 10 euro, because in the Prosecco there isn't this contact between the yeast and the wine during the year. Also the second fermentation, is a bit different, but this is the difference most important. So how is removed the yeast? We have two phases that are made before the celling. The first phase is called the remuage. In what consists the remuage? The idea now, nostro obiettivo, our goal is to remove the sediment. So first things, we bring all the sediment on the neck, and so the bottle are put in this wood triangle called pupitre. Once a day they are turned and so. Okay? So in one round we bring all the sediment down. We a bit shocked because they tend to attach on the glass. This process could be made manually or mechanically. Giro palette, mechanically version remuage. All the bottle now start horizontally and ended vertically with all the sediment down on the neck. Then we move in this other room. I forgot to say that on this side there is a natural well, because San Severo, you have to imagine that there are 3 levels: water, cellar and city. And so it's usual to find well in the cellar, in the underground, because was in the past the way to pick the water naturally. And why we have so much water in the underground? Because you have to think that San Severo is in the most flat area here in Puglia, and near us we have Gargano and Monte Dani. So all the water came from these mountains. They are not mountains, but we call it mountains. And so all the water came down and so go in the underground. It's important why I say this, because it's true that we have a lot of sun, a lot of warm, but usually we have always a lot of water in the underground. So our plants know that there is water really down, and so it is useful for them to grow. First things, we put in this freeze that the temperature is minus 30 degrees. So in 10 minutes, more or less, just the neck is iced. And so the piece of ice freezed the sediment. Is clear this? Yeah? So we bring up the bottle. The piece of ice with sediment are on the neck. We open the bottle. Remember, we have a pressure around 6 atmosphere. Exactly. The pressure throw away the first things that found, the piece of ice with the sediment. And so we have the bottle clear. And why they started to make sparkling wine in San Severo? Just for one thing, because San Severo is full of cellar. So in one moment, when the quantity of production starts to increase, the first thing is to look how to stock the bottles. I say that San Severo is full of cellar, so we start to escape tunnel like this to pass under the street and go in other cellars, so under other houses. So follow me, and we go. Imagine that you entered in Via Zannotti 30 and now we arrive to Via Zannotti 10, just under the street. So this is a kind of little walking under San Severo. Imagine that all the city in the underground are like this. So actually now we arrived in a cellar that was from the 15th century. And why we can say this? Because if you look the walls, they are not just bricks, but they are created with different material. And this was typically from the 15th century. So usually when you buy a bottle of sparkling wine, what you pay? Manually and time. These are and of course, the wine, but for this is the more price that you pay. Allora, la cosa bella è che molte persone arrivano qui e dicono: ma io sono venuta a fare la visita, mi sa che ho sbagliato, e invece poi si scopre sotto che c'è una città. So now we passed under another tunnel, that was original. We just enlarged. I use this word, but we enlarged it for technical reason, and we arrived in this room that is called for us room of the torch. Why torch? Sorry, not torch. Press. Why press? Because we have this head of a wine press dated 1836. This is a testimonial of production of wine here in San Severo. You have to imagine that in San Severo, around 96, there were like 20 different cellars, 3 different distilleries, and so all the city, the economy was based on the wine, actually still now, but the cellar, they are little now, and we have 2 more big cellar that are social cellar. This is a way to tell the history of the wine of San Severo. San Severo was also the first DOC of Puglia. So a lot of grapes are grown here in the part of Puglia. So this room is called, we call Sala Arca. Arca, is the arch, but also is the join of these 2 words, arte in cantina, art in cellar. As you see, we are prepared to have on the stage to have music, because actually this room usually is used to have events. I say that 3 friends, that one of them is on the stage, because a lot of people ask me, but the 3 friends, they are alive? Yeah, more than us, I can say. And they were passionate of jazz music, so this place for them was the perfect join of the wine, the sparkling wine, and the music.
Well, and this.
Okay. Yeah. No, but we have a client in, I remember the city, because he's in Denmark. Are you ready? Yes. Perfect. First sparkling wine is called Padosé, and Padosé is the name, but also the type of sparkling wine. It's a sparkling wine without sugar. So what we are going to taste something, we have to imagine that we are going to taste something for sure really acid. After this, Padosé is 24 months on the east and is a no-vintage wine. What means? During the creating of the cuvée, we can decide to add also wine from different year. Why we do this? Because every year is different. So we need to create something that is always the same. And how is made this joke? By mixing wine also of different years. So what means this? When you open or when you have a bottles of a big champagne, or maybe a bottle that is quite important when they give you as a gift, Don't wait a good events. Is always a good moment to open a bottle. Also, every bottle is a kind of a different person, and so you can like all person, or you can decide to drink just one. Questo mettiamo qua. Vado a prendere 2 bicchieri, me lo guardate per te.
I do want me doping in the side.
Penso di aver fatto per tutti, però vediamo. Potete... Prego, prego. Uno per... everyone has the glass? Okay. Of course, is a pas de sel, so I'm looking for something dry. So I have to taste that is, I say every time that is vertically. For example, this I suggest always on bread with oil. Best things, easy, simple but fat. Because with bubbles you can have a lot of fat, because bubble wash the mouth, and you can continue to eat. Or raw fish. I not suggest the pas de sel on oysters. Why? A lot of people put the pas de sel on the oyster. I don't like because, and don't suggest because this is quite dry. And the oyster, they have something sweet. So it's better join a pairing with a brut. A young brut, but something that is a bit sweet. Otherwise, you create this double flavor in your mouth, sweet and dry. This wine, the second one, is RN. The past name was Riserva Nobile. Now we cut on this 2 letter, RN. Is a vintage wine, and the vintage is written on the labels is 2019. So all the grapes came from this harvest. Something different on the first one. First of all, here the first fermentation doesn't happen in tank like in the first one, but happen in barrel. Here we have at least 36 months on the east, and is a brut wine. You read on the back brut. So means that we have the adding of liqueur d'expédition. So there is something a bit sweet, but this doesn't mean that is a sweet wine.
That's smaller, but you have extra bad.
Here, try to remember the first one and the flavor. You are going to see that is going to be different. Also in the mouth.
It tastes very thin.
Is different. Moscato have a lot of flavor. Is nice, but maybe doesn't have too much alcohol, too much structure. So you put a bit of Bomino Bianco and you have a perfect wine. This means have creating the cuvée. But for that reason, for those peculiarity of Bomino Bianco, the still wine still now is used to cut other wines. With the sparkling wine, we give nobility the grapes. Think this, that in other part of Italy, the Bomino Bianco is called Paga debit. That means pay the debits. Why? Because give you a lot of quantity and you can pay the debits. And so it's not come si dice, un vitigno pregiato, an important grape in Italy, in particular in our area. But the idea of tree and our idea is to give importance of these grapes because have this acidity that can give you a really important wine. The RN won the award of Oscar of Wine 2 years ago, and this last year has 3 mentions from the ice and the fish that are 2 important sommelier group here in Italy. So for us it's important for the awards, but also for the grapes that we use. Enjoy Puglia because thank you.